Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, Alex here. So today I wanted to continue my series on different types of assessment that we use in the classroom and how to practically apply them. And therefore I want to talk about something similar to assessment as learning, which was my previous video, and is another type of formative assessment, but it is a little different. And this type of assessment is known as assessment for learning. And honestly, it's the type of assessment that you should be using the most in the classroom if you're a teacher. And this video format is going to follow very similarly the last video that I did on assessment as learning, so if you stick around until the end of the video, you will see some examples of what assessment for learning pieces will look like. So with that said, let's get into it. So I guess starting off, we should probably define what assessment for learning actually is. So the Ministry of Education defines assessment for learning as a set of diagnostic assessments that teachers can use to determine where students are in their learning, provide them feedback, and determine the next steps of how students will reach their goals. So here are just some notes that I compiled for you about assessment for learning. So assessment for learning is an ongoing process of gathering and interpreting evidence about student learning for the purpose of determining where students are in their learning, where they need to go, and how best to get there. The information gathered is used by teachers to provide feedback and adjust instructions, and by students to focus their learning. The information and data gathered by assessment for learning pieces should be done before, during, and at the end or near of the end of a lesson, using a variety of instructional strategies and tools and assessments. The information gathered is used to inform instruction, guide next steps, and help students monitor their progress towards achieving their learning goals. And now, similar to assessment as learning, assessment for learning is actually divided into two separate parts. There's a diagnostic part and a formative part. So diagnostic assessments for learning are the pieces that teachers will use to determine what students know before they go into a lesson. And therefore they can alter their lesson or adjust their assessments in the future based on what the students already know and what they're ready for. And each of the knowledge and skills that you would be assessing with the diagnostic assessment would be coming straight from the curriculum. So for example, in a senior level biology class, you might ask students what are the different parts of cells and what are their functions. Or you can ask them individually about the types of cells. And these diagnostic pieces are actually pretty cool because they can inform you about students' interest, their cultures, and their learning preferences or learning styles. So in general, it's just a great tool for teachers to learn more about their students and how to better teach to them. And now the second piece is the formative assessments for learning. And these occur during a lesson or during instruction while the students are practicing new concepts and developing new skills. And again, these assessments are generally going to be touching on pieces that are within the curriculum or the big expectations or specific expectations. So now I'm just going to move into the piece that you've probably all been waiting for, and those are the practical examples of what you could be doing for diagnostic and formative assessment for learning pieces. So as you can see here up on the screen, the diagnostic pieces are written on the left. And those are going to be KWL charts, which are Know, Wonder, Learn charts, which I talked about in my assessment as learning video. Next, there could be writing tasks or definition tasks, so that would be just like in the case of biology. Can you tell me what the endoplasmic reticulum is, or can you tell me what the nucleus does, in the case of a senior level biology class. Then there's also math tasks. So for example, here I might do a perfect square activity where I might ask a elementary school class, if the product of two numbers is a perfect square, what might your product be? And this would just have them apply what they've already learned about what a perfect square is. So for example, a perfect square would be 9, which would be 3 times 3, or 25, which is 5 times 5. Or you could even do an estimation question where it would be something along the lines of, use estimation to find the square root of 50. Where students would go, okay, well the square root of 49 is 7, so this is somewhere in between 7 and 7.5. And those are just two real simple examples of what you might want to do for a diagnostic task there. You can also do mind maps or concept maps, and those can be individual or groups. Generally, it's easier to do it for individuals, but it is also a good activity for students to compare their learnings with others in the class, but that's more of an assessment as learning piece. And then there's also prepackaged assessments that you might get from the ministry or any other source. So for example, the running a reading records or leaps and bounds, and I highly encourage you to check them out. And now we're going to be moving into the formative assessments. And those might look something like the exit tickets, where you ask students, hey, what's one thing you learned this class? And what is one thing you're still struggling with? And this is really just to find out what students have learned and how you can improve or what you might need to touch on again in the next class before getting into your next lesson. And again, this really is just to promote student learning. And then we have portfolios or process folios, which students would document over the course of time, and you could look at it and see where they're having trouble or anything along those lines. And then similarly, you could have conversation with students, you could have observational periods where you watch students and you listen to them and you take notes on each of them as they're working in a group or working collaboratively or even individually. But generally it's easier to do it in a group as you can watch them interact with others and have them actually vocalize their experiences. And then again, products, and that's very similar to the portfolios or the process folios or the exit tickets. Those are probably actually subcategories of products, but I just thought I would throw those in there because you can have them, for example, create a drawing of what a human cell would look like. And that's just one example, so feel free to do whatever you like. So with that said, I'm going to end this video here. So if you like this content and want to see more like it, or some of my other content, such as some cool science demonstrations, or a Teachers Talk podcast that I'm currently hosting, or about my experiences in Teachers College, please like and subscribe to my channel. It goes a long way in helping a new YouTube content creator like myself out. But anyways, again, thank you for watching, and I hope you all stay happy, safe, and healthy, and have a great day, everyone. Bye!